Makin tinggi rating surat utang negara membuat negara makin mudah mencari dana. Lantas apa yang akan terjadi dengan perekonomian kita? Apakah Indonesia bisa menaikkan peringkatnya? Bagaimana prediksi di tahun depan? Berikut ini analisis Anushka Shah, Analis Sovereign Risk Moody's Investor Service.
So I think that trends are generally quite healthy. Growth has been averaging around 5% for the last 5 years or so, and should come in at similar levels over the next couple of years as well. When you look at Indonesia's growth rate relative to similarly weighted peers in the BAA rated category, trends have been remarkably healthy. It's trending above the median for similarly weighted peers. At the same time, given that the government has taken, specifically focused on infrastructure investment, and it's also pursued relatively accommodative monetary policies, growth hasn't really picked up from current levels. So I think that's our broad view, generally very stable and relatively strong growth. Given the government's commitment or adherence to fiscal discipline, the debt ratio or the ratio of debt to GDP has actually been very relatively strong for Indonesia. So it's below 30%, and that acts as a credit strength. At the same time, when you look at debt affordability or the sovereign's capacity to carry that debt, it's actually quite weak for Indonesia. And the reason behind that is that revenues as a share of GDP are actually very low. Revenues are lower, significantly lower than the median for BAA rated sovereigns, and they have been inching lower since 2012 as a share of GDP as well. On the other hand, interest costs or the government's debt servicing needs are actually quite high because of the government's reliance on market sources of financing. What this means is that the ratio of interest payments to revenues, which is our metric for debt affordability, is quite weak for Indonesia when you compare it specifically to other BAA rated sovereigns. The first is upward rating action, and given that we have Indonesia on a positive outlook, the way that a positive outlook would materialize into a rating upgrade is if we saw the triggers behind that outlook become firmly embedded, either through improvements in policy effectiveness or further institutional strengthening. And some of the tangible sort of parameters that we would look at is a sustained uptrend in revenue growth or an uptrend in domestic as well as external investment. On the other hand, you could also see downward rating momentum, and this in turn would come if there were to be a hold or a reversal in the institutional strengthening process, or you saw domestic or external shocks that had spillover effects on the rest of the economy.